Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having, well, I hope you're having a good morning so far. Um, I am still going over constitutional law. I meant to finish last night, but I got s- distracted by some fun YouTube drama. Well, not fun for everyone, but interesting YouTube drama. Um, but I'm going to try to get through constitutional law today, and then I'm pretty much done with all my subjects, and I take the bar in 2 weeks. So, probably going to spend like the next 2 weeks are just going to be a lot of drilling. But anyway, trying to run through all the clauses that I need to know. And yeah, I'll go ahead and start off with the where I am right now. So right now I'm taking notes on the establishment clause and the free exercise clause. Those are clauses. A clause is just like a phrase, or part of a sentence. Those are clauses that protect our freedom of religion, um, and they are in the First Amendment, and that only the First Amendment technically like only applies to the federal government, but we have the 14th Amendment that imports the Bill of Rights into into state liability. So the freedom of religion is incorporated into the 14th Amendment, and since that applies to states, then it passes on. Anyway, um, if we're reviewing any state action, government action for violating the Establishment Clause, the courts look at historical traditions and practice. Okay, so a few more notes I have to take about this. So the government can give money, can give assistance to religious institutions, but it has to be like considered secular. So it has to be secular in nature, used for secular purposes, and religiously neutral. Let me jot this down. Government can give assistance to religious orgs if assistance is, what did I just say? If the assistance is, I can't spell this, secular in nature, for a secular purpose, and distributed neutrally. Okay. Don't mind all of my typos, it's just because I'm just typing this up for my brain. Okay. Um, let's look at what else I'm going to take some notes on. Okay, tax exemption. So tax exemptions that are available for charities are also available to religious organizations. But um, but no tax exemption can only be for religion. Okay, so it's okay for religious organizations to get tax exemptions, um, as long as they are open to everybody. Okie dokie. Um, so tuition vouchers that you can use. Tuition vouchers that can be used at religious schools are okay. Um, And then government can deny scholarship funds to students seeking a religious career. Oh no. Sorry guys, I think I might have taken off my slides. Okay. All right. And officially, I think I'll start a new, well, no, I won't start a new slide. All right, so officially sponsored religious activities at public schools or events, obviously, violate the Establishment Clause. And that includes prayer and Bible reading. And holding a moment for meditation or voluntary prayer. It's also invalid. Okay. I think I got that. And public schools may allow religious orgs to use facilities when school isn't in session. And not letting them would be a violation of their free speech. Okay. I mean, I don't know if this is the case right now, but technically displaying the Ten Commandments is seen as a violation too. Okay. Okay, I think I'm good. I think I actually, sorry, I'm going through here. I think I might need to do another slide for this. Okay. Let's talk about free exercise clause of First Amendment. Freedom to believe and act in any religion. And government cannot deny benefits or impose burden based on religion. It cannot require someone to affirm a belief. And it cannot determine the reasonableness of a religious belief. Okay. So it's important to know that religious belief is absolutely protected. You cannot be discriminated against for what you just believe. But religious conduct, on the other hand, is not. Okay. So state laws that intentionally target religious conduct gets strict scrutiny. And yesterday, or if you've watched my video from yesterday, strict scrutiny is one of the ways that the Supreme Court determines whether a law is constitutional or not. Okay. All right. And state laws that are neutral and only incidentally affect ability to engage in religious practices, like gets rational basis test. And yesterday, that's as I was going over, that is another level of review. The rational basis, it's a lower review. It requires just that there be I think like a reasonable relationship between the law and a legitimate state interest. All right. I want to be done with the establishment clause. I'm very tired of this. All right, I'm not gonna, well, maybe I will write this down. And there is a ministerial exception for discrimination. And I guess that makes sense because if you, let's say you're going to like fire a minister because they're no longer this religion, the same religion as like the church, you technically, like you wouldn't be able to do that. Fire someone based on the religion, but with the ministerial exception, because it's a religious organization, obviously your religion is important. So they can be exempted from being seen as like violating equal protections. Okay, are we done with the free exercise clause? I guess so. Okay, now we're on to free speech. Okay, so for free speech, well, that comes in the First Amendment, and it's not absolute. Absolute limits on time, place, manner of speech, fewer limits on the content. Okay. So the government, is not limited by, well, let's just say the free speech clause doesn't apply to the government. Okay. Sorry, I'm looking through. Okay. So if a government employee challenges, well, if a government employee says government violated free speech, must show they were speaking as a citizen on a matter of public concern. Not speaking in official capacity. Ask whether the speech was ordinarily in the scope of the official's duties. Alrighty. Okay, so when an employee is speaking as a citizen on a matter of public concern, interest, well, let's say, First Amendment rights must be balanced against government interests. In effective and efficient management of internal affairs. And this, let's say this is challenges under the petition clause. And the petition clause of the First Amendment allows petition to the government to redress a wrong. All right. Well, let's move along. All right. And obscene speech or CP are not. All right, that's very good to know that that is not considered free speech. I hate that they have to tell us that. Okay. Am I done? I think I'm done with what I wanted to do. Yay. Okay. Awesome. Now, what shall I do? I think I'm going to go through my con law flashcards. Sorry, I'm working on pulling up my flashcards. So hard to find what I'm looking for. Okay. Alrighty, so now let me start a new slide. And alrighty, my first flashcard. What does it mean for judgment to rest on? Judgment resting adequate and independent state grounds. So adequate and independent state grounds are if a state decision is made on adequate and independent state grounds, the U.S. Supreme Court cannot review it. And that means if it's adequate, it fully resolves the matter by state law. Okay. And no dispute over the law. Okay. So to have standing in federal court, you need to have three things. Oh gosh, you need to have an actual injury. The injury must have been caused by like the defendant, and there must be a remedy. So you have to have an injury. And what this means is who can bring a suit in federal court. If you don't have these things, then you don't have standing. Redressability, relief, remedy. Okay. When does a taxpayer have standing to file a federal lawsuit? If they believe it violates the Establishment Clause, that's the only time, which is about freedom of religion. Let me bring lawsuit challenging use of taxes under Establishment Clause violation of freedom of religion. Okay. And they can also litigate their own tax bill. Okay. What does it mean for a claim to be ripe for litigation? That means that the injury is about to develop or has happened. Imminent. Can't bring the case before the conditions that create the injury occur. Okay. Next, when can the court not review a political question? They cannot review a political question when it's been assigned to a different branch or it's not meant for the judicial branch to decide. Think? Yeah. Okay, awesome. that power has been given to another branch or to not a question the judicial system can decide. Okay. With commerce power, what are the 3 areas a Congress can regulate as interstate commerce? Congress can regulate channels, instrumentalities, and activities of interstate commerce. And the channels, that means like highways and roads. The instrumentalities means like ships, planes, buses, whatever's taking the goods. And then the activity are like services that cross state lines. Okay. And it can also, well, yeah, I'll just say that. Okay, what standard is used to determine whether a tax by Congress should be upheld? I believe there needs to be a rationally related relationship between between the interest and revenue production, right? Yeah. Must have rational relationship to revenue production. And I think it has to be for the public welfare. When is Congress able to regulate purely private conduct? Well, under the 13th Amendment, which allows for like the elimination of discrimination. Okay. Next. If the Constitution in a treaty conflict, which controls the Constitution, if a treaty and act of Congress conflicts, which controls, I believe it's the act of Congress, the most exact one. Okay. If treaty and Constitution conflict, Constitution controls, and that just means the Constitution is like the one that you listen to. If treaty and a congressional act conflict, then that means that the most recently passed will control. Okay. Who can impeach the president and who may convict the president? The House can impeach the president, and the Senate is the one who does the conviction. Okay. Impeachment. House begins impeaching procedure. I think by a majority vote. Yeah, by a majority vote. And then the Senate holds the impeachment proceedings and can convict by a 2/3 vote. So impeachment is not the actual getting kicked out of office. The conviction is what gets you kicked out. Impeachment is just the beginning of the process. Oh, hey, CH. So late to school. The dog ate my homework. Is that okay, Teach? Yes. At one time, I had a student tell me their chinchilla, because I used to be a teacher, I was a kindergarten teacher. A student told me that their chinchilla ate their homework, and I thought that was hilarious. And their mom told me that like she like called me. She was like they were telling the truth. Like the chinchilla did eat the homework. Um, so funny. Today is so boring with constitutional law. This is my least favorite subject, but I think I'm almost through it, and then I can study some more. Okay. Thankfully, the good news is I'm reviewing, and the review is it's not terrible. It's just so much information to keep in your head. Like all my friends were texting each other, literally like, how do they expect us to take the bar and like remember all of this? It's a lot. Okay. My next flashcard, what is a legislative veto and is it constitutional? No. Legislative vetoes not constitutional. Um, and that occurs when I think it's basically when one house well, when one house vetoes the bill, because the only person who can veto a bill is the president. But if Congress tries to avoid sending the bill to the president, um, that's not constitutional. Let me see if I can. Oh, I was not right. Well, I was a little bit right. Okay, so legislative veto is not constitutional. Occurs when try to pass a law reserving the right to disapprove of executive action. Okay, so I think I meant a congressional veto, which is what I was talking about, but we'll see. Anyway, very boring. All right, so a legislative veto is just like Congress cannot pass a law that gives them the power to veto. All right, sure. Non-delegation doctrine. That is, oh my gosh, it's too early for me to type. Non-delegation doctrine. Congress can't delegate their legislative powers to other branches of government. Yeah. And that just means their lawmaking powers. Government can, I think they can give some authority to executive branch if they can name an intelligible principle. Okay, and power of impeachment and power to declare war are not delegable. And that just means like, well, delegating, just giving someone like the responsibility. All right. And administrative agencies. Administrative agencies are like the FDA, the CDC, the DEA, the EPA. So they cannot make decisions of vast economic, political significance unless Congress gives them the authority. Okay. Ooh, this is not exciting. CH, My neighbor had a chinchilla. They are sweet, but definitely will eat through anything. My friend had one and she brought it to my house, and it was like I just could not get over how soft it was, but it freaked me out because it just looked like a huge rat running around, and it got out of its cage. And I remember like standing up on one of my armchairs, like screaming at my friend, like, you better get that thing. But it's so, so, so soft, which I guess that's why they make chinchilla like furs, which I'm not about that, but I wouldn't, I would love to snuggle with an alive chinchilla. They're so soft. What type of immunity does a judge have for judicial acts resulting in civil liability? You can't. They have absolute immunity. Okay. Let me find my slide. Judge immunity. Judges have absolute immunity. Well, civil liberty immunity, not criminal. For acts, for judicial acts. Okay. When can the president invoke executive immunity, and when is the president not protected by executive immunity? President immunity. So immunity from civil liability for official acts. I think, yeah. And absolute immunity for criminal liability, or president's constitutional authority. And there's no immunity for civil, I think it's civil action, no civil immunity for actions that occurred before taking office, and no criminal immunity for acts for unofficial acts. Okay, I feel like I wrote that out very confusingly. So if the president is acting in their official capacity, there's no civil liability. They have absolute immunity for criminal conduct that was done within their constitutional authority. They are not protected from suits for actions done before taking office, and they're not protected criminally for any unofficial acts. Okay. What next? Sorry, I'm like going back and forth between a bunch of screens. What is provided under the 10th Amendment? That's the one that says that all powers not given to the federal government belong to the states and the people. Powers and Constitution not given to federal government belong to the states and the people. Okay. When can the states tax the federal government? I think it has to be indirect tax. and doesn't unreasonably burden. Yeah. When indirect, and what type of burden? Unreasonably. Okay. What powers does Congress use to encourage state action that it cannot directly compel? Um, the taxing and spending power. So that means they can impose taxes for not doing things or offer money and tie like conditions to it for the states. Congress can influence state decision making through taxing and spending powers. But it can't be like unconstitutional or turned into compulsion. Okay. State regulation of a commerce is valid as long as it doesn't discriminate. Yeah, let me go ahead and put this here. All right, so state can make laws regarding make laws regarding commerce, because usually, interstate commerce is controlled by the it's controlled by Congress, and commerce is controlled by Congress, except for certain areas where there's maybe no federal law. States can create laws, but it's like a very narrow window. And if they're going to make laws regarding commerce, they um, cannot discriminate against out-of-state interests, can't unduly burden interstate commerce, and um, and commerce isn't taking place completely outside the state. Oh boy. Okay. There's a when can states enact legislation that discriminates against out-of-state commerce? Okay. States can discriminate against out-of-state commerce when, and I know there's 5. Hey, Olab. Oh, it's good to see you. Oh my gosh, last night was crazy. I don't, CH, did you follow any of the drama that happened last night? I don't know how much into the Karen Reed stuff you've been, the Just Macchiato stuff. Oh my gosh, I'm getting so bored with this, so bored. Okay, this is my least favorite subject, even though my common law professor was pretty cool. He really, really loved weed, so he was like all about states' rights. He like has wrote a bunch of books about marijuana and like is like just an expert on like marijuana law. And I always thought he was really fun and cool, but he had really bad ADHD and I had bad ADHD, and I'm pretty sure he was unmedicated, and it was just not working for both of us because his class was so scattered. So nice though. I really wanted to like him, but the class just scarred me. Oh my gosh. Okay, states can discriminate when, okay, let me find my flashcard. It's necessary, um, necessary, and the only way to protect state interests. Um, when the state isn't, when the state is entering the market, um, if it's serving a traditional government function, if it's a subsidy, and if they have federal congressional approval. Okay, so necessary, no better way. Participating market participant, not a regulator, serves a traditional government function. You can give subsidies, and you can have federal congressional approval. Okay. All right, I am getting real tired of this. I think I am going to mark this as flashcard 19. I think I'm going to switch to crim law. My brain is melting. I can't do this anymore. Okay. Let's go to crim law flashcards. I also did not like crim law. My crim law professor was like, she probably watches a lot of true crime. She loved like the most like horrific like crimes. Like she just was like fascinated by like gore and stuff. And I'm totally not. And I swear like every single day I was triggered in that class. The exam was terrible because she came up with the most insane hypothetical situation. Like there were like 20 different murders and so many different like essays, and it was wild. And it was a crazy exam. Like 4 hours of that was too much for me. I don't think I would cut it as a criminal lawyer. I saw some of this morning and saw JM threatening to go to court if anyone says anything about her donations. Still in recovery from last week, Tyler Robinson chats are seriously eye strain modding. I can't even imagine the Tyler Robinson chats. Those probably get real crazy. Maybe she was a serial killer. Maybe she was. Her favorite case was one I guess I forget what city it was in that she worked, but she defended a woman who killed a guy on the subway with a ball pen. No, I mean, sorry, a ballpoint pen, just like right in the neck. And she was able to like, I think it was based on PTSD of like past assault. Um, Crazy, crazy. So like when she told us that, I was like, oh, you're serious. Like I'm not gonna mess with you. Um, I have read every conspiracy. I think literally we're stuck in a simulation. Everything is oh, why can't I hide? Sorry, my chat thing isn't working for some reason. Let me see if I can fix it. Yeah. Um, and it's crazy too, because like I don't know. It's got to a point where we can't tell at all what's true. Like even in law school, like my professors, like they're they're giving us a lot of like good luck out there, and like you know, I guess this is the law, if the law means anything anymore. So I feel like every single conspiracy theory is like totally valid. Like I feel like there's just like there's no limit to how crazy things could get. Oh, okay, thanks. Andrea did 2 lives a day. Yeah. I don't know how she does it. She works really, really, really hard and on all her cases. Um, is she going there? Is she in court? Or is she just reporting from like Twitter feeds? Or is she getting the transcripts? Or is it streamed? I don't think it's, well, possibly it's streamed. I don't actually know if it's state or federal. I'm guessing state if they did. Well, it depends if they wanted to charge them with like terrorism. All right. Do I want to do criminal procedure or crim law? I think I want to do, well, I gotta do both. So I think I'll do procedure. No, law. Okay. 59 hours and 5 days. That's insane. Wow. No, she streamed the hearing, then did the evening recap. Wow. That's crazy work. I hope she's getting a lot of views and a lot of attention because that's crazy. Okay. I think I need a break. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a little break and then I'll probably come back and then start on crim law. Maybe like an hour or so, but you can just like keep notifications on. But thanks for hanging out with me. Especially with constitutional law, because that was a drag. But I will see all of you guys later. I hope you have a good rest of your, oh my gosh, morning, afternoon. Filled 4 legal pads and notes and went through 3 pens. That's crazy. Oh my gosh. She's gonna get carpal tunnel. Wow. Good for her. All right, guys, I will see you later. Thanks for hanging out with me. Bye.